Great pleasure to be here. I must start my story, and I think my story starts back in 1960s. Not that I was born in 1960s, but something very interesting happened. Back in my village, there was a small village dispute. So there was a dispute on this collection of rent, and a number of people were arguing. And one person who was arguing was my grandfather, an illiterate, poor farmer in Devipura, arguing with a number of people there about the percentage or the share of rent he had to pay. And there was a person who was among the few literate people in my village. So he happened to tell my grandfather, "You should shut up, you should not say anything. You and your entire clan is illiterate and uneducated." He didn't say anything to that person. He straight away went home. He had two of his younger brothers. That very day, he took them off the farm, held their hands and took them to a school. And by the time my father was also born, and he was also put to school, and my grandfather ensured that he gets education. So he became teacher. And when I was born, my father ensured the same, that I also get good education, slightly better education, and here I am. So this transition from a poor farmer to a teacher and to a member of All India Services, there has been one factor. There has been only one thing in this whole story, that's education. That's education is the only thing that transforms lives, not only in one generation, but across generations. And this is the story, this is the only story that I have. This is only my story, and this story is what's inspiring me every day. I'm currently posted in a place called Badnor. This place has very less cultivable agricultural land. Now, here, things are a little complex as well. This is last month in my subdivision, an 8-month-old kid suffering from pneumonia. The parents did not take him to the hospital. They took him to a bopi who did this. People call it dam or dag. They burnt his belly to relieve him of the pain. If somebody is bitten by a snake, he is very less often taken to the hospital. Otherwise, he is taken to some religious place, made to do some parikrama, and then say, "You will be all right." I happened to, in my initial days, go around in different villages. I visited almost every village which is in my subdivision. So what I used to do is go to a place, reach a middle spot of the village. You find a number of youngsters there, young boys and girls sitting. You just go and meet them. "Hey, what's your name? What do you do?" And not at all to my surprise, almost 80% of them had dropped out of school, and they were simply doing nothing. So then you go to the schools, and here are the schools. I had gone to the school with an intention of thinking, we'll tell teachers, you should teach this way, you should teach that way. But then you go to the school, you find a child sitting on bare floor. I could hardly sit myself on this floor for 5 minutes, and a child has to sit for around 6 hours a day or 7 hours a day. There are a lot of ironies in our world. A lot of ironies in the schools we have. If you visit any government school, if you go to a senior secondary school, there would be adequate furniture for children studying from 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. But there would not be anything in the name of furniture. For the kids who are in class 1 to 5, where the need for furniture is the most, because that small kid, he has to sit there, he has to write all day with his crunched and hunched back. That is the age group of children between 1 and 5, where how your posture is going to develop, how your eyesight is going to be in the future, whether you're going to have a squint or not, how your handwriting is going to be, that's determined in those initial 5 years. And we don't have. So what we did was, we collected some small fund out of own pocket, out of few teachers, and selected 2 schools. So what we did was, we made these small wooden benches. So for one school, for providing these benches to every kid in that school, it costed us just around 15 to 20,000 rupees. And having a proper furniture, that would have cost us around ₹1.5 lakh, which we did not have. So what we did was, we got these small benches made and got a slightly better carpets in 2 schools. Then next what we did was, we invited a lot of local people, some shopkeeper, some villager, somebody who's in government service. We took them to the same school. You come with us and see if there is something worth listening to or worth seeing. Everyone made small donations, small contributions. I had a peon with me. He was the first to donate 21,000 rupees. Somebody donated 500, somebody put another 200, somebody 10,000, somebody got 10 benches made, somebody gave 5 carpets. So this way we could get some money as well as some resource again. So next what we did was, so this we did in the main headquarter where my office is located. Now with the money and resources that we collected from here, we selected 2 schools in every Gram Panchayat and put these benches in those 2 schools in every Gram Panchayat. Then went to those Gram Panchayats, invited local sarpanch, local panches, local people, shopkeepers and everyone. Come and see, this can be done. And all those they took up, and in every other school in that Gram Panchayat, we could provide these benches. And within a month and a half, every primary school in that subdivision now has a bench. That's around 6,000 kids. Now, the next part of the story, as I told you that the complexity is such that education and the social life of people is so intricately related. So people are drop out of school. They are supposed to marry, or the children are married off, so they have to drop out of the school. So this cycle goes on. I, as SDM, had to investigate at least 2 cases of suicide within a span of 10 days, where those girls, they had committed suicide because they did not want to continue in the marriage where they had been married once they were children. So we started a multi-pronged approach for tackling this child marriage issue. Number 1 was administrative and prosecution based, where we installed a control room, 24/7 control room in my office. We had a network of volunteers, a network of informers everywhere. And next, we started this Abhiyan. We went to every village. We gathered people around the religious places, spoke to them about the act, spoke to them about how wrong this practice is. This is a temple, so we would go there and ask everybody to take an oath that they won't be involved in child marriage, not would let anybody get involved. So the complexities were in this way. So somebody would get up and say, I have 2 kids, but I don't have money to marry them both. So if one child is smaller, other one is elder, so what they do is, along with the elder one, they get their younger daughter or younger kid also married. So they say, we don't have sufficient money to make arrangement for 2 marriages, so why don't we do once? So as I told you in the first slide about that 8-month-old child who was given that dag on his belly. So we then started working on this as well. We then started again going to one village to another village, talking to people. These are Narega sites. So during the day you find a lot of ladies, they are working on these Narega sites, digging pits. So we would go there and talk to them. This is not supposed to be done. This is a crime. There's a punishment prescribed for this. And this should not be done. How this helped us is, in the last marriage season, there was not even a single child marriage reported in that subdivision. And in the past 1 month, there has not been a single instance of dag or jad fook anywhere in that subdivision. So then, this is the last part of the talk that I wanted to talk about, is that once we go and meet people, meet kids in school, if we visit 5 schools in a village, 5 schools in a Gram Panchayat, what one finds is that out of those 5 or 10 schools, there would be one school which seems to be in order, where children seem to be a bit more confident, where things seem to be a bit well organized and more cleaner, where students seem to be engaged in more activities. And the single biggest factor that I found was a good teacher.